do not give up on your legal status. Many people fail to respond to RFE or file an application before the deadline. This is why we offer a strategy session for 15 minutes at no cost to you. Not everyone qualifies. First, you need to speak with our CARES team. We receive many requests, so we recommend you answer a few questions on our website, greencardguys.com. Our mission is to help people live and work in America legally. Go ahead and subscribe below and follow and share. Talk to you soon. How are y'all doing? Today, we're going to talk about the ultimate green card guide, the options, okay, to get a green card in America. All right. We'll try to be as comprehensive as possible in a short time. So here's the deal. And because really we're all about sharing knowledge. That's most important, because when you have this information, it's more likely you're going to prevent certain situations, get yourself in certain challenges, maybe even prevent overstaying your visa if you had known certain information before. So what friends, my name is John Ting. Welcome to greencardguys.tv. We try to point you in the right direction, again, to solve your immigration problem and maybe even prevent the problem from happening in the first place. So welcome. Let us know where you're watching from. I always think that's interesting to know that. And so here, everyone knows about like the easiest way to get a green card. You get married to a U.S. citizen. Most people don't understand why that's easier than, let's say, like getting sponsored by an employer or by a company. Key thing is because people who have overstayed their visa in the United States, doesn't matter what kind of visa, if they overstay and they marry to a U.S. citizen, and assuming no other issues, like a DWI or other crimes, then it waives the unlawful presence. Okay. But if you're married to a resident, legal permanent resident, then it does not waive the unlawful presence. So that's a critical tips right there. Very, very important for you to know, because some people get themselves in a situation because they didn't know that. Right. And that's the purpose of hiring a lawyer, to share that information. Thank you so much for your questions. Continue to type it in the chat box or down below, and I will try my best to answer as many as possible within a 15-30 minute time frame here today. But I'll get to that soon. So aside from the family options, okay, most of y'all already know that, right? But employment based, you need to know this, especially if you're abroad. Okay, I'll cover for the folks who are in the United States, but for those that are abroad, it takes about average 2 years. Now, I'm not looking at the visa bulletin, because if you're from China, Mexico, India, and the Philippines, China and India have the longest wait time in terms of employment based. Okay. And you might wonder, well, why is there like additional wait time? And that's because the Congress set a fiscal year limitation, and it's not by calendar year. It's by fiscal year. So that ends September, the last day of September, and it recycles. The visa numbers recycle in October 1st. Okay. So if you're wondering, that's why for H-1B, that's also the start date is October 1st. It has something to do with the fiscal year, from what I understand. Although it's silly, people should just be able to work whenever they get the visa. I don't know why they have to October 1st, really. But, I can't explain everything by the government or Congress. I just try to do my best to interpret it for y'all. So employment-based. And some people say, well, do I need to have a degree to get sponsored by a company? Well, of course, it depends on the position, right? But in general, let's say it's like, I don't know, like a job that doesn't require a degree in general, or a job certification. There's a category called EB3, unskilled workers. There's a subcategory, unskilled workers. So that's something you can consider. So of course, if you're not from China, Mexico, India, or Philippines, it would be much faster for you. Yeah, I mean, still it takes about at least 2 years. And yes, some companies might not be willing to sponsor you if they don't understand the process. And so that's why we like to go on these live shows, do recorded videos to share that information with employers, because when employers are educated and have knowledge, the better for y'all. Okay. Right. So we're even thinking about creating a resource, like a website, to get y'all connected, especially for those folks abroad. Now, for the people who are in the United States and seeking a company to sponsor you, it's much easier if you have legally easier if you have non-immigrant visa right now. Like you have J1 visa, H1B, O1, P1, for example, just to name a few. It's almost like the whole alphabetical soup, but there's still technically not that many work visa options, unfortunately. And even for H1B, it's around like 68 to 80,000 visa limitation every year. It's also stupid. I really don't think they need to have that restrictive limitation, but hey, it is what it is. I'm not a political leader and whatnot. So even one person can't change the law, right? Unfortunately. Fortunately, checks and balances, fortunately, can't change it like that. So, so you really need to, but for those people who are abroad though, and in the United States, but don't have any status right now, I know, because I get a lot of inquiries about that. Like some of y'all apply for asylum, some of you have TPS, some of you have DACA, and you're wondering, can I still get sponsored by a company? Typical lawyer answer, it depends, right? So because there's two legal concepts that most people don't think about, even most lawyers don't think about, unfortunately. It's not just about stopping the unlawful presence time. It's about failure to maintain status. Because when you apply for this whole process called EB or PERM, the very last step is adjustment of status. So essentially to get your green card. And one of the key things that USCIS will look at, requirements, is have you maintained your status while in the United States? Now, for those folks who have applied for asylum, TPS, or DACA, that is not lawful status. Yes, you've been able to work, but that is not lawful status. All right, it's a very critical legal concept that you need to know. And so you might wonder, well, then how can I eventually, can I still get a green card? Yes, it's possible for some people. Again, it depends on your facts. So that's why, disclaimer, you have to speak to an immigration lawyer 101 to make sure it's possible for you. All right. And then for some people, you need to be eligible for waiver. Not everyone requires it because, again, it depends on the situation, your facts. But ultimately, the default for those who are here without lawful status and want to get sponsored by a company, you need to go abroad eventually for the visa interview. So again, that's probably going to be at least 2 years later after you start the first step number one. Okay. All right, folks. But otherwise, if you come into the United States as a refugee, then yeah, there's residency option from there, and of course through asylum, or if you're a child under 18, or you have you're helping someone who's a child under 18. I say quotations because I hate, it's weird to call someone a child under 18 because especially with everything, a lot of people having to grow up, especially if those children don't have parents, or maybe they only have one parent. A lot of growing up to do quickly. Okay, so other than that, my point here is to highlight the employment-based options to be sponsored by a company, because most people don't think about that, right? Most people think, oh, I have to like get married to a U.S. citizen. I know many of y'all don't want to get married. I totally get it. Tap the screen or hit the hearts if this is resonating, because a lot of lawyers, a lot of people, of course, ask lawyers, well, what is like my one option? What is the options? And a lot of lawyers will say, oh, you got to get married to a U.S. citizen. Y'all know that already. Okay. So those folks are not really thinking outside the box. Right. So, but I just generalized employment based, but if you're not here on an non-immigrant visa, like O1, P1, H1B for J1, and you're abroad, then consider applying for those non-immigrant visas first, right, through a company, because most companies don't want to sponsor straight to a green card, right? They want to make sure that you have, certain work ethic, you meet the core values. That's what we look at with Ting Law Group before they commit to paying X amount of dollars, right? It can be expensive, and it takes at least 2 years, right? So usually companies, doesn't matter where in the world, but usually companies, if they're going to hire someone, they want that person to work like yesterday, right? So some people, if they don't understand, the companies don't understand the process or human resources. That's why we're out here to educate. Okay, drop some knowledge. All right, tap the screen for the hearts if this is resonating and this makes sense. I want to make sure that it's helpful to y'all. Okay, otherwise I wouldn't be doing this every day for 30 minutes a day to an hour. All right, so let me answer some questions here. Welcome to the show. If you're just now joining, welcome to greencardguys.tv. I'm your host, John Ting. I practice immigration law in all 50 states of America, helping you solve your immigration problem and maybe preventing the problem from happening in the first place, folks. So I can share with here, if you are wondering how to get in touch with us, maybe you're a little shy right now. You don't want to ask your question on the live show. It's completely understandable. You're welcome to give us a call. You can see it here above on YouTube and Facebook. Our number and a website to answer a few questions on the forum. But keep in mind, folks, is that, if you're on Instagram or TikTok, you don't see that information. So welcome to follow us. Okay, I think on TikTok it goes up and down. I don't know. You can follow. And I say follow because some of y'all are driving. I get that I hear that from y'all sometimes, like, oh, I was watching or hearing the live show. Like, definitely don't watch if you're driving. Just listen, if anything. But then if you follow, then you can remember to DM us later for our information. All right. Let's see. By the way, I use this software called StreamYard to go live on Facebook and YouTube at the same time. But I just saw this notification that it's going to allow Instagram to be synced up, which makes sense because Instagram and Facebook are owned by the same company. But it took like several years. So for those folks on Instagram, you'll be able to see where when I share information, and you can see the phone number, so it's going to be easier for y'all. Okay. Let's see. Hopefully they can do that for TikTok in the future. All right, and Michelle, can I apply for citizenship if you've been here in the United States for 4 years being married? So it's not so much about the marriage, how many years married, but I see where you're getting at. If you've had resident status for 4 years the main rule is 5 years, right? With resident status, and assuming 4 years. Okay, so if you obtain your residency through marriage, a green card, then it's actually a 3-year rule, right? So you threw me off a bit with the 4 years, but it's a 3-year rule. So you could have applied at least a year ago, assuming you got the green card 4 years ago. But you probably got about 3 years ago. So that's really about the years of resident status together. And even if your remove conditions application 751 is still pending, that does not matter. You can still apply to be through N400, and I highly recommend it because if anything, it pushes USCIS to make a decision on your 751 case. Now, will they have the file of the 751 application at the citizenship interview? They might not, but at least you can put on a letter that kind of information. So hopefully whoever reviews your application will request that file. Hey, Anthony, what's up? You're welcome. Happy to help any way I can. You got your EAD last month. Congrats. How long does it take to get advanced parole on R1? Well, you know what? I really don't know on how many months. Let me see, because it depends. It's not so much about which visa, but thanks for sharing R1. It's really generally 3 to 5 months, okay, processing time. All right. But if it's longer than that, we typically don't sue on that, but hopefully it doesn't take that long for you, okay? Let's see here. I was going to look up processing time, but let's go to some other questions as well. Okay, on YouTube real quick. YT Tops, last week your I-130 was approved. Congrats. And your 485 RFE for medical. I can pretty much predict the question if I read part of it. Because a lot of y'all have been asking about the medical exam. You provided it back to USCIS on RFE. And you're wondering how long will you even have the interview, or how long will it take to get approved? Yeah, we get this question a lot, pretty much every day, several times. And unfortunately, there is no processing time or expected timing, even through experience, because we've had it, most of ours, when we provide the medical exam back to USCIS, we saw the notification, decision mailed like the next day, right? The day after our tracking number shows delivered. But that doesn't happen for everyone, okay? Like most of our clients are like that. Sometimes like a month later, 2 months later, but we haven't had any that was like 6 months later. And I've heard that happens to a lot of y'all now, this towards the end of this year, 2023. So, but then some of y'all ask, well, can I file a lawsuit on that? It's not so much how many months after mailing in the medical exam. I know that's a key data point that y'all looking at. Has nothing to do with that for filing mandamus lawsuit. It's more about the receipt date. So because in 2023, cases have been approved much more quickly, right? Like in 3 months time or whatnot. So 3 to 5 months on average based on marriage in the person, foreign nationals here in the United States. Some of y'all are abroad and you're thinking like, oh, John said this, like how come my case not 3 to 5 months? This is only for people who are in the United States, the foreign national, the immigrant, okay? So keep that in mind. It's much different scenario, much different processing time for those abroad, unfortunately. Okay, sorry to hear. Sorry to share that. Let's see here. But yeah, it's more about, so if you filed your case about, it's still 18 months minimum for adjustment of status, then I'll call us, give us a call. Happy to chat with you and see if you're willing to file a mandamus lawsuit. And let's see. Hey, how you doing, Ralph? It's good to see you. If you become a U.S. citizen, can you expedite F2B category? Well, that's not exactly how it works. So who'd you sponsor? Your spouse or like a child, right? Because if you become a U.S. citizen, then it will have to change categories, and that changes a lot of different things. So you're on TikTok, so I can't share the visa bulletin on my screen here. But yeah, you have to refer to the visa bulletin. If you're not familiar with it, then, send us a message and we'll share the link with you. But also on YouTube, I have a video explaining how to check the visa bulletin, things like that. Right. So, so you said F2B, so you have a child under 21. So I'm assuming, to be safe, your child is not married, right? I mean, I know some people get married under 21, but I recommend waiting if you haven't got married yet and you're under 21. But if you become a U.S. citizen, then it bumps up to F1, okay, for you. I don't know what country your child is a national of, but if I'm just looking at all chargeable areas on the F2B chart, well, F1 is a little bit faster, okay, just by a few months. All right, so let me go to the next question. How do you get a waiver for I-130 application? So waiver is a separate application after the I-130 is approved if you need the waiver, right? But unfortunately, I mean, I'm hoping I'm answering your question. How do you get a waiver? Yeah, it's a 601A or 601 form application, but it depends on the reason for that you need a waiver. Unfortunately, there's two different waivers or two different waiver applications depending on your situation. What's up? What's up? Welcome to the show. If you're just now joining, welcome again. My name is John Ting. I'm your host. I practice immigration law in all 50 states of America and across the world, helping you solve your immigration problem and maybe preventing the problem from happening in the first place. All right, so answer some more questions here. Your father has a green card. Can he file for you on an expired J1 visa? So in general, Josie, for J1, you want to check your passport to see if you have a 2-year restriction, because that will prevent you from getting residency. Okay. I mean, you could apply for it, but if you got a 2-year restriction, you can see if you qualify for an exemption of those 2-year restriction. So welcome to call our office. But in general, we need more facts. Like, is your dad a U.S. citizen? Are you married? There's a lot of different situations. Yeah, you have a 2-year restriction. I see that now. So give us a call, okay? Thank you for your question. Want to make sure you're qualified or eligible. All right. Okay, to Instagram, Donna Black. How long does it take for courts to respond to dismiss proceedings? Okay, it's great. I talked about this yesterday, actually. It depends. I know, typical lawyer response. It depends on several factors. Number one, if you already filed a motion, I would say generally at least 1 to 3 months on average, because when you file a motion already, assuming you haven't discussed it with the Department of Homeland Security attorneys, so you didn't get a joint agreement, essentially, that's okay. But of course, having a joint motion to dismiss or terminate is better. So then the judge can make a decision much more quickly. But yeah, otherwise, because they have to review the entire file, they have to review the entire record to see what happened in the past. So hopefully that gives you an idea. But yeah, so I'm assuming, Donna, did you file the motion already, or your attorney? Because some people ask that question and then, okay, you file a PD first, no response. Then yeah, that makes sense. That's what we've been doing as well when there's no response from DHS. And it's ridiculous with DHS, right? I mean, this is a great time to take advantage of this with the Biden administration. I mean, who knows what's going to happen in January 20th, 2025? But it's really the best time, because he's made it a little bit more expansive, but the problem is logistics. I don't know what's going on with Department of Homeland Security. They just need to they just need to dedicate at least one person per office per city to focus on these requests, because they always say, oh, we can't make a decision until, because that's what they mentioned to us in our lawyer conferences. We can't make a decision on it because we're working on active cases. And I was like, okay, so you literally have to wait until the court date shows up. That's kind of defeats the purpose of removing cases from the docket. The docket is like the day's schedule of cases. Like, we just had one dismissed success story for one of our clients. We filed VAWA for the dad and daughter, under 21, under 18, and I think she's in high school. But anyway, we filed VAWA, and look, we could have gotten us dismissed like 2 months ago, for example. And we submit as soon as we get the receipt notice for I-360 or I-130, 45. We always file electronically, serve it to the other side, Department of Homeland Security, but they don't respond to that, even though they say that's the way to do it. And so it's annoying. It's super annoying, because one office, let's say Dallas versus Houston, or like San Francisco, they say, okay, use the e-service database. Okay, we use it. Then they go into court and they say, oh, you should have emailed it to us. You freaking kidding me? This is like ridiculous. Like, just stick to one method across the country. Like, just stick to it. Because if it works for one office, it's streamlined, it should work for a different office, right? But they don't do that. Okay, folks, it's very unfortunate. Yeah, it's silly. I'm all about process. The way I operate the law firm is all about process, workflow, so that we can get stuff done, service done for our clients in a timely manner. That's how we're able to do it compared to other law firms. I'm not going to speak poorly about other law firms, but there we go. Harris Law Firm, thank you very much for mentioning this. He mentions, if there's no response on PD, it's a good idea to email a duty attorney and ask for the department's position on a PD request. Yeah, good point. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, Mr. Hera. But it's just ridiculous, right? Like, I'm sure your experience is like just not getting a response, and but I get a response. So I don't try to give the trial attorneys, what we call them, a hard time in court. I just ask, like, hey, by the way, I did submit the request, because some judges are like, attorney, why didn't you ask the government attorney in advance? And I'm not trying to get in a dispute with the judge. Like, it's no point. I'm just trying to get this in and out quickly. I was like, you don't understand what we have to go through, do you? So yeah, it's So I always try to ask the government attorney, trial attorney, like, yo, by the way, I did ask, but y'all didn't respond. And so they understand. Even the government attorney is like, yeah, we don't have a good system. I'm sorry. They apologize most of the time. But at the end of the day, the reason I don't debate with judges on something like this is because they can't control the outcome anyway. And we just want them to dismiss the case and just move on. There's no point. So it's kind of like in everyday life with people, like what is the outcome you're trying to get? So that's what you need an attorney, like Hair Law Firm here as well. Thanks for joining the show, sharing your own advice as well. It's just ridiculous because the whole point of getting these cases dismissed is to not even have to show up to court. It's to get it off the docket. Hair Law Firm, I'm sure you agree, Mr. Hara. So it's just wild to me. It's just wild. Okay, off my rant. I hope I answered someone's question. Was it Donna? Okay, good. You filed it back in May. Yeah, that's a freaking long time. Sonny, what's up? 221G. When's a good time to contact Congressman? It's never a good time. I know some people ask us that as well. Even when they're a client, they're like, can we just contact them? Sure. I'm not going to stop you from submitting inquiry from them, but realistically, it's not going to obtain the result that you want. And the result that you want is to, in your situation, you mentioned 221G, issue the visa. So a typical type of response, regardless what kind of immigration case, but let's say for something like your 221G, you're abroad, you can say, oh, the State Department or the embassy consulate mentioned your case is still going through administrative processing. No shit. No shit. It's still going through administrative processing. That's why it shows online, or visa refused. Like, I know that already, but what is going to happen? When is the next step going to happen? Like, is it truly visa refused, or is it literally in the black hole of administrative processing? And then, or when is the visa going to be issued? I really feel bad for a lot of y'all, or really everyone that is going through administrative processing, because it's much more difficult to fight these cases when the government doesn't want to help, right? But you do have to still sue, especially if you're waiting so many years. And it should have been issued like a year ago, timing wise, right? And so unfortunately, some people, like, of course, I'm not disclosing client information, but on paper, online, nothing's going to show like national security issue. And the government's not going to tell you specifically, sorry, we can't issue a visa because of national security. Some U.S. attorneys do tell me that, but unfortunately, based on law in America, when they say national security, they're not going to give more info than that, right? Because that kind of defeats the point of protecting national security or securing the homeland. So, yeah, it's frustrating, super frustrating. But look, if you don't even sue, then you just don't get any kind of response. And so, yeah, I mean, Sonny, you can submit inquiry, but it's not really going to go anywhere. I hope it does. Hope it does for you and all of y'all. All right, let's see here. Briefly Flesh. Interesting name. Can I give info on religious conviction waiver when wanting permanent residency? Yeah, the information I've shared before about this is that on the 601 application is, I first of all, I took the COVID vaccine. I hope I'm going to be good for the rest of my life, but I'm not here to tell anyone to take the COVID vaccine aside from the immigration requirement that you have to take it if you want the residency. However, yes, there is a 601 waiver application to waive this requirement. However, if you are not wanting to take the COVID-19 vaccine, essentially, in my opinion, the way I understand their requirements for this is that you have to say that you haven't taken any other vaccine, not just COVID-19, which I think is dumb to have that kind of requirement, because that's why they mentioned, I think the basis of your reason has to be based on religious or some kind of moral conviction. But because they do it so specific like that, then they're trying to like encompass that you don't want to take any vaccine. But sometimes, you do your research, right? A lot of us did our research about the vaccine. Some people believe one thing or another, to each their own. But, FDA has done some shady stuff in the past. So, again, to each your own. I mean, you got to do the research. And so, yeah, it's going to be difficult, though. Okay. Briefly Flush or anyone that wants to not take the COVID vaccine and file the waiver, because it's about $1,000, and we haven't filed it. Okay, no one's asked us to file it, so I just feel bad charging for something like that. To be honest, I think it's going to get denied, because most people, I mean, everyone that's talked to us about not wanting to take the COVID-19 vaccine, we asked, did you take other vaccines? And everyone says yes. So then, maybe they just don't apply further. They don't go down the next steps. I don't know. All right. What's up, Steak? Thanks for staying on. Let's see what someone else has. We got a lot of questions here. Thank you so much for your trust and allowing us to answer your question. And if you maybe you don't have a question, but you want to share some feedback, your experience, things like that. Maybe you got approved, but you've been following our channel for a while and want to share. Please do. Welcome. Liz, does a DUI affect getting a green card? Thankfully, no. However, you have to think about the future, okay, when you want to apply to become a citizen. We're always big picture, right? We don't just think one step of the way, but use Uber, okay? Please, Lyft or Uber, taxi service, old school way, all good. Please use Uber or call a buddy, and make sure your buddy's not drinking either. Let's see. Hopefully that helps answer your question. But the key thing here, folks, if you have any kind of arrest or crime, and because it's already obvious, if you're overstayed your visa or here unlawfully, then you shouldn't leave the United States. I think most of y'all understand that about the unlawful presence rules. Okay. But the thing about people who have resident status, okay, so if you eventually get resident status and then you exit, you have to speak not with your flight travel agent, okay? You need to speak with an immigration lawyer before your spouse, before your travel agent, if you have one, right? Because certain crimes will trigger at the border when you come back. And this includes cruises. I've had to tell some clients, you can't get on that Disney cruise. My kids love Disney cruise. Me, I'm okay. I could do without it. But, they love it. Shout out to those adults that love Disney. Hit the hearts, the screen if you love Disney. To be honest, they really have great service. Like if I had to pick a cruise, I would pick Disney, by the way. Okay, off my personal thing. But they just understand parents. They understand our pain points. God bless them. But what was I talking about? Yes, you need to speak with the immigration attorney before you even purchase your ticket, because we don't want you to waste money. Okay, I'm all about thinking about families and money and budget. I get it. Do not waste your money if you're like, oh shit, I can't get a refund, right? Like Disney, I'm pretty sure they don't give a refund. Excuse my French. Oh, Liz, wasn't you, as your bro. Okay, got it. Yeah, you tell your bro what's up. Tell him to be responsible. Can you change your J1 with 2-year rule to permanent residence? Anita, yes, it's possible. You have to speak with a lawyer one-on-one to see if you could qualify. We call it prima facie eligible to even try to do the one of the exemptions, like hardship waiver or no objection letter, for example. Those are our top 2 to go with first. But yeah, let's chat. Give us a chat. Or did that make sense? Give us a chat. Chat with us? Yeah. Give us a call. All right. That's what I meant to say. Good info. You're welcome. Your family rocks. That's cool. Okay, you ask, how long does DS-160 data is kept with the system? How is it linked to the I-45? If any mismatch of data lead to direct denial, or will get RFE to clarify? Wonderful question. Wonderful, wonderful. Because the data lasts forever. Okay, unfortunately, there is, from what I understand with the government, it doesn't just disappear. Because For example, we submit a file Freedom of Information Act request, in short, that's called FOIA. And when we ask for certain information, we generally don't just put like, we want every single immigration document. That'd be great, but actually that slows up the process in getting the response back. So we put in something specific like DS-160 and any notes from the consulate or embassy, for example, or we want the I-130 approval notice. We share that, we do that because then we can get the FOIA response in like 1 to 2 months. But yeah, in general, and here's the other thing to help you based on our experience is that when, especially when people who have this problem where they could have been a mismatch or incorrect information, I don't want to call it a lie, but there's incorrect information on the prior immigration application. Yeah, it's going to come back to bite you. Especially, look, if it's an address, I don't think they care. I don't think they're even looking at the prior address. That'd be really a deep dive. I don't think they have time for that. They're looking at marriage. Did you mark on a DS-160 that you're married? And practically speaking, if you did, when they send you an RFE, it's, where's the divorce decree then? Where is it at? Because that's what the I-130 is for. They want to verify that, yes, if you were married, that's cool. But did you get divorced? And then get married again to someone else correctly, legally? That's what the I-130 is for. Establish a family relationship first in terms of the law. So we get a lot of calls because we acknowledge this. We recognize the problem that a lot of people face. It's certain countries. It's not across the world. The most common top 2 countries, okay, I think y'all know this already, who, especially if you're from this country, tend to hire a consultant or paralegal. I'm just going to hide this comment, so I'm not trying to allege you, but from Nigeria and China. Okay, so heads up, if you're especially from those 2 countries, do not, and you have not applied DS-160 before, please do not hire an agent. You can apply for a visitor visa on your own. We actually don't even provide that service. You don't need a consultant or someone in the community to help you with that. I really don't think that's necessary, but to each their own. Elaine, if I said your name correctly, yes, you can call us, DM us, okay? Follow us right up here. You're on TikTok, follow, and sometimes it pops up below on the live show. DM us and we'll share the information, the phone number and all that. TikTok is weird. The algorithm is, but they're just weird about us sharing information when it's like a personal account. Appreciate it. I see that Ralph on YouTube loves Disney themselves. 4 hearts. Wow. 4 hearts sounds like you go every year. Good for you. Congratulations. Back to briefly flesh on the question of the waiver. Okay, I see. Yeah, blank waiver. I think that's what's called as well. You haven't taken it any at all since you were really young. You got psoriasis after. I think your options are much better in that sense. That is interesting because I don't believe. Let me see if I can pull it up. 601 instructions. My stomach is grumbling because I need to eat. Is this y'all's lunchtime? I hope you're getting a chance to eat because I'm working right now. I'm just trying to share information with y'all. Let me share my screen here on YouTube and Facebook. I think by next time I go live show, I can be on Instagram, I think, at the same time to show my screen, I mean. Okay, so page number, I'm on the 601 instructions. Where's the health ground? Page number 9, let me go there. Okay, hope you can see this to the person who asked this question. Okay, yeah, page number 9, and it says, okay, there we go. Number 2, you're seeking a waiver under 212G2C of the vaccine requirement. You must file this application because exemption because the vaccine requirement because vaccinations are against your religious beliefs or moral convictions. blah, 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 blah. That's stupid because it doesn't mention anything about like health reasons or medical reasons. So, man, that's tough. I can post that question to my lawyer message board to see if anyone's been able to get it through or tried. And that's the thing about our Facebook group. You go to teamlawclub.com, join our Facebook group so you can ask questions like that. All right. We're trying to build it up. So welcome to join it, teamlawclub.com. And because sometimes a scenario like this, I think very few lawyers offer this service to file it. So they wouldn't have this data point, right? You would have to ask each other. So we created this teamlawclub.com, more like the typical like old school forum, sharing information. And we share information as we have it as well. We're trying to do better about that on the Facebook group. So yeah, check it out. Okay, cool. Yeah, that's just ridiculous. They don't have anything about medical reason. See, that's what I mean. They're too restrictive. All right, Miss Douglas, you're married to a green card holder. Can you adjust your status? You're here. Let me swipe here so I can see it larger. You're here on a visitor visa. He could file a petition for you. But when I saw the visa bulletin, if the visa bulletin does not show current for F2A, then it's not going to work for you, which it does not. No, it doesn't. It shows, it's been stuck on the chart B. It's been stuck on September 2023 for the last couple of months. It's ridiculous. A couple years ago, it was current. So advice can change. When you talk to a lawyer like 2 years ago, things change, right? So especially the visa bulletin, prior dates change. So that's why if you're eligible at the time that you talk to an immigration lawyer, don't wait, folks, because the visa bulletin can change. The law could change. Regulations change. You just don't want to waste time. You don't want to lose that chance, essentially. I don't say waste time, but yeah, you don't want to lose that opportunity to get legal status. So, Douglas, right? Miss Douglas, I don't call anyone Miss, do I? Miss Douglas, you need to encourage your spouse to become a U.S. citizen if he or she is eligible to become a U.S. citizen. So I just wouldn't file since your spouse is a resident, I just wouldn't file the 485 form because if anything, they're either going to admin close it. You could always get it reopened, or you could get USCIS could deny your case for the 485, and you would have just wasted $1,225. So if anything, for now, when you have a spouse who is a resident, only file a petition because, if and when the prior date shows up, then which a prior date would show up on the petition receipt notice, by the way, then you can file a 485. But again, that even if the prior date shows up current for your case and your spouse is a resident, I just keep repeating this because every scenario is different. You need to show that you maintain status, Miss Douglas. And if you're on visitor visa, most likely, if I can predict the future, you're going to overstay your visa. So your spouse needs to become a U.S. citizen. All right. Make sure he or she gets on board ASAP. Or K, I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name on Instagram. Any group you recommend for advice regarding divorce in Texas? Is that what you said? Any group? I don't know of a divorce Facebook group, but you're in Texas. Okay. DM us anyway. We might have some referrals for you, resources. I just can't think of any off the top of my head, but that's a good idea. There needs to be a group. I'm sure there is. There's gotta be. Ali, hey Ting, what's up? What's up? You've obtained a construction management award for excellence through your school year. Your school also has two articles with your name on it on the website. Congrats on that. Are you qualified for an EB2 self-petition? It's not quite that easy. There's a lot more requirements to show, as you could probably know. Contact us, give us a call, or DM us, and our CARES team specialist will email you a free guide about that specific situation. It's basically, we have a long list in our PDF document. That's what the guide is. So hopefully that helps you out. But a lot of people ask us about NIW or self-petition. It's quite difficult, right? The legal standard, because you're bypassing like most of the steps with the USCIS. So with that being said, because most people are not qualified, we just don't want to waste anyone's money. And some people are just willing to try, but it costs time and money. So the thing is, what we're thinking about doing is creating some kind of program to help build up your resume, and maybe you need to get more experience. Of course, it's still no guarantee that like, oh, you're going to get approved, but at least you can build up your resume to be hypothetically stronger. So we'll keep you updated. So DM us, and then we can keep you updated. Miriam, sorry, I see your comment's been here for a while. A husband's case stuck at federal court, waiting for decision. Please let you know how to speed up. Are you a client? No, I don't think so. Please let me know how to speed up. What do you mean federal court? Do you mean immigration court? Because the whole point of filing the case to federal court is to speed it up. If you mean mandamus, DM us, okay, Miriam, or give us a call. By the way, folks, thank you so much for your trust in asking these questions. I'm not going to be able to answer every single question, unfortunately. I will run out of breath, and because I am a human, I'm not a robot, but I'll try my best. I'll probably be on for I can probably answer one more question, but I know people usually ask how to get in contact with us. The best way to save everyone some time, especially you, go to our website, greencardguys.com, and I'll share my screen on YouTube and Facebook, how to do that, walk you through it. Okay, go to our website, click on Contact Us, scroll down, click on the first box to verify now to qualify for a consultation strategy session at no cost to you. All right. And it's going to redirect you to another page to our listserv. Okay. You can enter your email. Then the first email will share a link to schedule a time, a short meeting with our CARES team specialist. Okay. We just changed up the process a little bit recently to make it easier for y'all to share information so that information can come down to us, to our workflow. I mentioned this before. I'm all about workflow. So, and steps to make it easier for y'all and my team, of course. So if you don't mind doing that, if you want to get in contact with us, and of course, if you have a situation where your case has been denied before, or you want us to check something about your current case, please upload a document. This is confidential. We do not share with anyone, only with the team, so we can look at it to provide you the proper advice. Okay. I wanted to share that because a lot of y'all fill out the form, which thank you so much. But then during the phone call or the meeting, you mentioned about your case being denied. And like, well, it's going to take extra steps to send you another link to the upload document. So if you're going to fill out the form, just make sure that you have any document you want to share with us at the same time, ready to upload. Okay. All right. So U.S. citizen filing for stepson age 13. What is total cost for his application? I think 13 is the cutoff, meaning 13 and above, you need biometrics to pay that fee. That's an extra $85. But I don't know what you're applying for. You're applying for adjustment of status? I'm assuming so. Then it should be $12.25, I believe, which includes the biometrics fee. Hopefully that helps. All right, folks, thanks so much. I got to eat for like 5 minutes and then step into a team meeting. All right, so thank you so much for your time. And if you're wondering how to get in contact with us, I already shared it with you. So DM us or send us a message, comment below. All right. We're always welcome to feedback. So if you've already spoken to a team member, CARES team specialist, please go to reviewtinglaw.com. And especially if you've spoken with one of our attorneys, please mention their names in the feedback. We greatly appreciate it. Thank you so much and have a great weekend. Take care.